It's time for Indian Wells. We've made it to that time in the calendar, and they've chosen to change the surface this year. We're moving to a different, faster surface. Carlos Alcaraz won't be pleased. Medvedev will be thrilled, however. Djokovic is going to be there. That's going to suit him. And no Jannik Sinner playing it. But loads to speak about. We've had some events what's just gone. Tsitsipas winning, Thomas Mahat, and the women's looking tasty too. Let's speak about it. It's another podcast.
That's right, we're back again, and what a week it's been. Stefanos Tsitsipas, he has returned officially to the tour and returned to the top 10. This is the big thing. We thought he was going to have maybe a disastrous season. Obviously, last year it didn't really end up the way he thought it would. And I don't even think included him in our top 10 for the year. And that could prove to be a very, very big mistake on both our parts, because he's changed his racket, he's changed his mentality, and now he's won his first ATP 500 title at the 12th attempt. He's lost 11 finals before this one, and now he can finally tick this one off, beating Felix in that final. So well done to him.
Yeah, Djokovic gave me the reminder, because I feel like this was a narrative we've had on the podcast, but I've forgotten about it. And I feel you can say with Stefanos Tsitsipas that a lot of him I've forgotten. He was this player who was there to challenge the big names. And we thought he was going to be going there for Grand Slams. He got to, was it a few finals he's got to now in Grand Slams?
French Open and Australian Open, yep.
Lost to Djokovic on both of them. But he's been a forgotten soul, because I feel Sinner and Alcaraz have just stolen the thunder, other players as well. And I completely forgot that he's never won an ATP 500 event. Of course, he's been quite successful in Masters events. He's won 3 of them, 7 250s. He's won an ATP finals as well. That was in London, right? The one he won.
Yeah.
But now this is his 12th career title, and he's won at least one title in the last 8 years. So every year for the last 8 years, he's won at least a title. And you can fact check that, because it is not fake news. It is correct.
Good. I'll take your word for it. I thought it was just brilliant to see him back playing his top tennis again. That's the one thing we've really missed from Tsitsipas. He's always looked a little bit down in the dumps at the back of the court, frustrated with the fact that the backhand's not firing. There's lots of shanking of the ball. His dad was always in the box. There's always an argument brewing, or there's something going on between the two. The dad's no longer...
Toilet breaks.
Yeah, toilet break. The dad's no longer there. The racket's changed. The consistency of his backhand seems to give him confidence, I think. If he's hitting that backhand well, the rest of the game flows well. And that's the thing that we noticed, especially against Griekspoor. God, I think he must have hit about 10 to 12 massive backhand winners in that match. And Griekspoor came up against the very best, and he was playing well. He just knocked out Medvedev in the round before, and he came up against somebody who was just in top form. Straight sets against him, straight sets against Felix in the final. And Felix, when he normally gets to the final these days, he does a lot better. Obviously, he had his own his own thing where he lost 8 finals in a row, didn't he, before he finally managed to win one. But these two, I thought it was maybe a fitting final. These two players who struggled with these statistics that were sort of on their back for a long time, and Tsitsipas finally managing to get this one off of his.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at Felix's final record. Maybe you've got it, because we know he struggled so much in his early career with finals. He's now reached the last 2 tournaments, Doha and this one, back-to-back finals, lost both of them. But what a great few weeks he's having. If you remember, about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, we both had Felix firmly inside our top 10. We thought he was going to go on. I think I even thought he was going to win Wimbledon a few years ago, because he was playing very well. I feel like he's got back to that now. He's playing great. I've been watching him all week. I've been really fascinated with the way he's playing, because he seems calm and composed, unless he's playing, of course, Bublik and he's riling him up. Aside from that, it's just a more mature version of the young-faced Felix, because he's always been calm and doesn't show much emotion, but he always just looks so young in the face. Now he's a little bit more mature, and I think his tennis is more mature too. He's got that experience, and I think he can be very dangerous in some of these upcoming events. And I'm interested to see if he can play better on the grass this year, because we know he's a great grass court player. I want to see him go far at Wimbledon. And I think I'm already brewing up for two big wild card picks. Of course, we've got Roland Garros first. Wimbledon's a long way away. But I'm going to make some early predictions in March, 2nd of March, as we're filming this. I think Felix and Jack Draper, one of them is gonna reach the final of Wimbledon.
Big calls there. Yeah. Obviously, Jannik Sinner will be back by then. Alcaraz going for his 3rd straight Wimbledon title as well. Djokovic will be there. He'll have something to say about that as well. But I think Felix, I mean, this resurgence he's having at the moment, I thought he played really, really well this week. I mean, if you look at I'd say the opposition doesn't seem quite as impressive as what Tsitsipas did, I don't think. I mean, he beat Bublik, Borges, Cilic. Cilic was on a bit of a resurgence, to be honest, so you've got to give him credit for that. But Contender, I don't know how he managed to get all the way to the semi-final. He knocked out Rublev earlier in the tournament. He's a qualifier. Well done to him for going so far. But yeah, Tsitsipas knocked out Sonego, Khachanov, Berrettini, and then Griekspoor, and then Felix in the final. I thought Felix played great in the final as well. The rallying was so hard hitting, but Tsitsipas just seemed to have an extra level to raise in the pace of ball, and especially cross court with the forehand. Some real electric forehand winners he had. Very impressed that he can go toe to toe and he's not scared to hit through the ball anymore, Tsitsipas. Such a big server as well. Finished off with an ace, game to love, literally, on the final game of the whole entire championship.
Game to love.
It was.
Forget the buttons. But no, I think I wouldn't go too overboard with Tsitsipas, in the sense that he's not back. This is not. I know you've said in the intro and you said early doors, and it was making me internally, I was laughing because he's not back. This is not going to be him making a big comeback to the top players. I think he's having a really good, solid week. And I think when he's playing this level, he's just got back inside the top 10. So number 9, he said how pleased he is to be inside the top 10 and how much of a big achievement that is for him. But I still see him losing to a lot of them players above him in the top 10. And if you want to win the big events, you've got to beat one or two of them at the very least. To win the Masters, to win the Slams, you've got to beat some of these players. I think there's still a gap. Let's see, though, with this new racket, it may be the turning point, and he may be a lot more comfortable in these bigger matches. But until we actually see it, I can't say too much. I was really impressed with the way he beat Berrettini in that one.
Yeah.
And that was early round. So I think Berrettini is someone who is going to be pushing and knocking on the door this year for that top 10 spot if he stays fit. And it's a big if, because if he stays fit, his game is good enough for me to get right inside there. He's beaten Novak Djokovic, finally. The one thing we've always said he can never do. And I'm calling him as someone who I think is going to make a little bit more of a resurgence this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him very close to the top 10, maybe 10th or 11th or 12th or 13th.
Well, I think with the whole Tsitsipas thing, though, I think the fact that he's done this well on this hard court surface coming into he's obviously got the Sunshine Double first. If he has a good Sunshine Double, this could really do well for his whole entire year, like going forward. We know how good he is on the clay. We know he does really well in Monte Carlo always. Could have a really good Roland Garros after that. I mean, there's a lot of, I feel like a confidence thing for Tsitsipas can really help him go far. And then the grass, he's just never really done well on. Maybe this year, who knows? I think he actually has nearly the perfect game for grass if he actually really like spent a bit more time on the surface. He's got a massive serve. He's got brilliant volleying. He's got, well, we've seen another single-hander be amazing on grass. Roger Federer, if he could just conjure up a little bit more aggression on the grass, I think he'd actually be a really good player, but we don't get to see him on it enough, and when we do, he normally goes out early. I don't know. I know that you're not sold on this new Tsitsipas, but this new racket is sort of, I don't know, it's swaying.
It's not that I'm not sold. I just think we've not seen enough yet. I think
we haven't.
Steady on. Tsitsipas, I still think we'll be lucky to be inside the top 10 come the end of the year. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I mean, you can see Felix here. He's at number 18. And the Canadians, they're both inside the top 30. Denis Shapovalov, he's obviously having a bit of a resurgence. Both the Canadians who sort of fell off the edge of a cliff, I'd say, last year. Now they're
Chapo
back.
did. I wouldn't say Felix was off a cliff last year.
Yeah, more Chapo than Felix, but he definitely wasn't at the same level that he is now. He's won 2 tournaments already this year. So he was definitely not at that level last year. And I think the way he's playing, he looks like he's playing with a lot of confidence as well. Hard courts definitely suits him down to the ground. The clay, I'll be interested to see how he gets on. I know that Felix is still quite good on the clay, but it's definitely not one of his strongest surfaces. But I'm excited to see what comes up. And you can see another name here, which I think we should go on to next, who's just broken the top 20 for the first time in his career. Thomas Mahatch. I mean, what a brilliant, brilliant week he had, winning his first ATP tournament.
So when we was doing the predictions in December, I had him inside my top 10. And then when I went to visit my parents, I asked my dad to do a top 10. And he also put Thomas Mahatch inside his top 10. I think we both had him in 10th. And I thought, I'm not having this. This is annoying that he's got them. So I took him out and I went with someone else. So that just, the reason I tell you that story, it doesn't have any relevance, my dad, to it. But the point is, I do think very highly of him. I was very close to having him inside my top 10. And even at the Australian Open, when I saw that he had Novak Djokovic and then Jiri Lehechka afterwards, I think very highly of both of them. I think Thomas Mahatch is better than Jiri Lehechka on his day. And I am shocked that it's taken this long for him to win his first title because he's been on the tour for a while. He lacks consistency. We saw a few issues with him. Was it at the ATP Cup where he lost a match he should never have lost?
Yep,
and
against Fritz, wasn't it?
Against Taylor Fritz, yeah. But there's a great player in there. And this, I'm hoping, can catapult his confidence into doing big things. So when you say about Tsitsipas having a bit of a resurgence, doing good things, I'm looking at a player like Thomas Mahatch as someone who can be a lot more dangerous than the Tsitsipas. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section as well. I know you always agree with everything I say, so I'm sure this will be more just nodding and thinking, JG's got it right again.
Well, Thomas Mahatch, you got to remember Thomas Mahatch only 24 years old, so he's still learning, still growing every single match that he plays. And I'm really, but obviously as somebody we probably forget, we actually had him on the podcast during the quarantine in the Australian Open. Actually, a really nice guy when we spoke to him. He actually won, wasn't it gold? I think it says on one of these tweets, he won gold in the mixed doubles, didn't he, with his ex-girlfriend Siniakova. So he's ticking off a few boxes. I think I like the way that his career's going. I know we talk about like some people get rushed to the front, they're too much early in their career. He's definitely a slow burn, Thomas Mahatch, and he's doing everything sort of the right way. 24 might be his blooming stage where he comes out and now winning a first title, this will lead to more. Maybe it'll just be this one to start. Maybe then he'll have to work hard to get a 500 event, and then who knows, Masters and deep in slams, that type of thing. But definitely in the next 2 to 3 years, Thomas Mahatch is going to be a real danger for a lot of players in that top 10. And you don't want to be somebody, I think, and even though Djokovic beat him in straight sets in the last slam, that'll be a learning experience for him. I think if the longer it goes, he'll be closer and closer to like challenging players like Djokovic in slams. I think he's a top player, but I still think Tsitsipas, like if you compare the two, Tsitsipas isn't that much older than Thomas Mahatch. Tsitsipas is only 26 years old. So that's just got to take that into consideration as well. Not an old guy at all, and still could quite easily have another stage of his career where he makes runs for slams, and he's been to 2 finals already. So surely if he gets his game in the right place, he could definitely just make some small tweaks. And if some of the big players aren't there, and if that's all he needs is to get over that hurdle, not having a Djokovic there, and then he'll win one, maybe he will win one when Djokovic disappears.
The next story I want to speak about, Ben, is McCartney Kessler, someone we've rarely spoken about on the podcast. But the significance is she lost the final today, or yesterday, whatever time zone you're in, to Pegula. But we really kind of got to know her on the podcast at the back end of last year. I don't know if you remember, she won a WTA event, beating Haddad Maia in Cleveland. She ended the year 67 in the world. She won a few ITFs and challenges. This year, 2025, let me just bring it up. She has already won a title in Hobart.
Yes. Yeah,
and
brilliant.
Now got to a final. She beat Coco Gauff. She beat Anisimova. She lost to Mukova in Dubai. That was the only person who stopped her there in 3 sets, and it was a tie break in the third. So that is just giving you some perspective of her level. This was only last week. She then went on to play Austin, beating Golubik, Buxa, Sastea, and Greet Minin. So I don't know. I'm very, very encouraged by Kessler. I'm just seeing here she's 25 years old, because I wasn't sure if she was. To be fair, I thought she was younger than this, but she's not. And rising up. I'm not sure exactly where she is.
48.
Is it 56 in the world?
48
now?
Yeah. Well done.
She's a contender to, if she can beat these kind of players and push Mukova for that far, beating Coco Gauff in straight sets. I think this is someone who can be also pushing on the door of a top 10. And with the way the women's has gone, we saw Madison Keys start the year amazingly. Who's to say she can't win a slam? It seems to be quite open at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the Americans seem to be having a really good time of it these days, don't they? The men's, the women's.
Have you watched much of McCartney Kessler?
I have not. I'm not going to lie to you. But I am very, very impressed by those results that you have been reading off then. Obviously, to be beating somebody like Coco Gauff, at the time when I saw it, I thought, oh, come on, Coco, she must have just had a bit of a stinker there. But she's actually coming up against somebody she's probably familiar with. And that can sometimes be like a negative thing, like somebody who knows your game a little bit better, a fellow American. And Jess Pegula, well, she's a sort of another level sometimes when it comes to those type of matches. She's got more experience in finals, that type of thing. I wouldn't expect her to have won that match, but I think to get there, well done, Kessler.
Emma Navarro's not let up, another American. She is playing a final right now against one of your favourite players. She wears the cap like us, Arango.
Yes.
She's Colombian.
Yes, she is.
And you're not going to be very pleased with the scoreline, because as I'm speaking right now, it was a bagel in the first set and 5-love up Navarro. It could be a double bagel for the final. Of course, I'm not watching it. I don't know if she's injured or something's happening. But one thing I can definitely say is Emma Navarro is playing very well. And she's proven that last year was not just a flash in the pan, and she's here to stay. I don't think I put her in my top 10, but I could be kicking myself.
That's I mean, I didn't have her in my top 10. I thought maybe she wouldn't be able to replicate what she did last year, but I mean, this final, I feel really sorry for Arango to get to that final. She actually did well. She won a tournament last week, so she's on a bit of a tear at the moment, Arango. And to get to the final of this one, albeit it wasn't the toughest draw to get there, and now she's actually facing somebody who's a top 10 player. You're sort of seeing the gulf in class between the two, really. But I'm still encouraged. I think Arango's an exciting player. She's going to take a little bit longer to climb up the rankings. I think she's inside the top 80 now at least. So she's had a really good couple of weeks.
Yeah. Let's move on to Indian Wells. It is happening right now because the qualifying started. We'll start with the men's, but we'll start with the tournament as a whole because there's been some massive news, and that is regarding the surface. As we know, historically, it is the closest to a clay court a hard court can be, and that has really helped Carlos Alcaraz. He loves it here at Indian Wells. He's won it, twice in a row? Is it twice?
I believe so, yeah. I mean,
Or three? I don't even know. He seems to win a lot there. We've seen some fantastic matches, even if it wasn't free, because I know he lost to Rafa, wasn't it, on the windy one? Maybe that was the 3 years ago.
It was. Let me just bring it up, and I can tell you, it was the last two years in a row.
But then the one before he lost to Rafa, was it with a win? Do you remember?
Fritz won the final. That one. Remember, they were both injured in the final, and Fritz won it. Yeah, the battle of the injured. But yeah, here we go. I'll pop it up on the screen for you so you can have a little look. There you go.
Yeah, so Fritz beat Nadal, but then Nadal beat Alcaraz in the semi-final, I think. Regardless, Daniel Medvedev gets to the final the last 2 years. He's going to be over the moon because Ben's going to tell us all about the court conditions because he's been studying it. He's been using ChatGPT, what's been telling him different answers to the real truth. He's then been looking at Twitter. He's then been asking me. He's really investigated the conditions. So I want you to tell us all about them, Ben.
Yes, I'm sure you do. The only thing with the one I looked up earlier, I think it actually gave me the truth, but it sounded like it was sort of debunking like this thing that I'm just on the screen now, saying that Lakehold is the new provider, which is in use in the US Open. The tournament had been using PlexiPave for over 25 years. Now the court should be a little bit quicker and lower bouncing than usual. So, but the conditions of the area and the location will keep it pretty slow. But it still will be quicker. And this is where it confused me a little bit because in the Australian Open, they use PlexiPave, which is obviously a faster tournament, but it's in a different location, this type of thing, different conditions. That's why it confused me. So I had a little look and it said Lakehold. So this is just for anybody who wants to know about the surfaces, and the difference between the two is generally considered to be a faster surface than PlexiPave. While PlexiPave is often described as a medium-paced surface, Lakehold is seen as having a faster playing speed, with some sources stating it provides a lower bounce compared to PlexiPave. The key points to remember: Lakehold speed, considered a medium to fast surface. And it says depending on the specific Lakehold variation, and it says PlexiPave speed is typically a medium-paced surface with options for slightly slower or faster variations. So there you go.
Number one, Roger Federer will be annoyed that they're not introducing this while he's still active. Djokovic will be relatively pleased, I believe, but maybe not so much now in his later years.
Yeah.
And there's no Rafa. I think he would have preferred it before.
Yeah.
But I always look at the big three when I look at these conditions because they own tennis and they own the tennis courts. They've done so much that I can never forget them. Gil here saying the reasoning found in the Indian Wells press release is stunningly off base. The most consistent feedback I've heard across the tennis world on court conditions is that regardless of preferences, we want diversity. We don't want the game to look exactly the same all year. So they said, by tailoring our courts to match the playing conditions, we've enabled tennis to move seamlessly around the world. This cross-continental consistency ensures that within and between events, all courts are equal and the tennis comes down to the players that's good for everyone. So basically, it's a level playing field. Everything's going to be playing the same. The best players will win the events. And it's not done on surface or condition. And Gil's right in what he says because no one's calling for that. We love the variety from week to week. But I think regardless of the condition, by playing in different places with different humidity, with different balls, with different fans on different surfaces is going to be enough variety regardless to what actual surface condition they use. For example, these new courts. There's still enough variables.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
for
me,
me, no. I was just thought you just said an abrupt stop, but it's all good. I personally think that they should have just kept it how it was, to be honest. I quite liked the fact that we had a bit more diversity. I know that I've read a lot of the comments as well. People are actually...
So you agree with Gil completely?
Yeah, I quite like that there are different speeds of different courts. I know that there's some players are always going to complain about certain speeds of certain courts, but that's just the way it is. It's nice to have some variety and know that there's some courts that play a little bit slower, some that play a little bit faster. Yeah, people are saying, oh, why not just make it a clay tournament then? Because then it's just another clay court tournament. We want it to be a little bit more variety, a little bit different. And that's what I thought Indian Wells brought, was something a little bit different. If it just suddenly plays fast like everywhere else, then Jannik Sinner's probably just going to win all the tournaments, or anybody who plays his style of tennis. Do you know what I mean? Like Medvedev's going to be thrilled because last year he was complaining like bitterly about how slow the courts were and said that he'll go for a P at the same speed the courts are because they're so slow. And he said, I'm a hard court specialist and these don't play like hard courts.
Yeah, someone tweeted the man behind Lakehold, and it's just a photo of Daniel Medvedev.
Oh, sounds about right. There he is, complaining in last year's Indian Wells tournament. There he is. God bless him. Yeah, he's saying...
We've got a quote here from James Blake on using Lakehold at the Miami Open. He said, Lakehold is such a well-respected company with a proven track record, and that's why we trust that they're going to do a great job of making sure that the courts are exactly what we asked for. If we ask them to speed up the courts a tiny bit or slow them down a little bit, Lakehold always delivers the pace we require. Our experience working with them over the years has been really positive. So that's quite cool. It's a proper company who can do things professionally. It's not going to be like that challenger we went to with the clay courts, with all the clay all uneven, the players just refusing to play.
Well, you remember that one in Naples where they tried to lay
that
the
was
court?
even worse, wasn't it? They had to just get loads of sand in last minute.
But wasn't it a hard court though? They laid like completely wrong, and it was just all lumpy. And they were like, "We can't play on this; it's dangerous." It's
no, it was like, a clay court event.
No, I think I don't know. I can't even remember what it was, but it was just not safe. You can't have tournaments around there like that. Like Cowboys been out there, like they paid some cheap firm just to go lay a court quickly. Yeah, these are obviously very well respected people laying these courts. They lay the courts for the US Open, so you'd expect it to be top notch. Let's speak about some of the seedings. Obviously, well, we got the new top 10 out. This isn't going to be the actual seedings for the tournament.
When's the draw?
It's a good point. I know it starts on Wednesday, the actual tournament proper, so I'm guessing the draw will probably be out either Monday or Tuesday. I wouldn't have thought it'd be any later than that.
Okay, well, we'll bring you a draw reaction when we know for sure. But maybe what we can do now then is let's go through some of the entry lists and the seeds for the tournament and give an early indicator to who we think is going to win prior to the draws. So I've sent you the women's seeding.
Yeah,
I don't have a tweet for the men's.
That's all right, I've got it anyway. I've just found it. No worries. Okay. Let's have a look at the women's first, though. Anyway, here's the women's seeding.
So Saba, number 1. You got Iga, Goff, Pegula, Keys, Paulini, Rabakina, Zheng, Andreeva, Navarro, Badoza, Kasatkina, Snyder, Collins, Mukova, and Haddad Meyer. And then if you go down, the other I'm not going to read all the others, but the other 16 are quite interesting too. There's some names there who I think can do some damage. I really like the look of Clara Towson, number 22. She's having a fantastic year this year. Donna Vekic played fantastically well last year. But focusing on the top 16, I think it could be a real surprise. And I just don't think it's going to be one of the big four there. I think we're going to see a surprise. And if we have a nice draw, I'm going for an early Shock call for Paulini.
Interesting. Hopefully she's back from her injury. I know she sustained some sort of injury just recently, but I'm sure she wouldn't be playing unless she's fully fit. That would be massive if she was to do it. I was actually looking towards maybe Madison Keys. Obviously, she's been playing fantastically well. Just won her first slam. I saw some practice with her with Rebecca.
And a little bit faster is going to suit her perfectly.
Exactly. You're thinking along the same lines. I saw her practicing against Rebecca, and Rebecca didn't win one single point, which was crazy. Like Madison Keys smacking Rebecca off the practice courts. So it goes to show that new racket for her as well. We've seen it with Tsitsipas. New racket, new him. New racket for Madison Keys as well. Everyone's moving away from Wilson, it seems. She's gone to Jannik, I believe, and won a slam. Tsitsipas now to Babolat. He's now won Dubai and got the ATP 500 he's been so longing for. Is this going to continue? Will we see big performances by Keys and Tsitsipas in Indian Wells? I'm going to be keeping.
I also moved from Wilson to Head.
Oh.
And I feel my performances have got worse. So maybe I need to go back to Wilson.
Yeah. Didn't you have the Cilic racket? I'm not sure. For the,
that is it. The Head. Yeah.
And was it Karatsev or was that a different head one? Okay. Karatsev.
Very much my style, you know.
Definitely. Yeah. Marin Cilic. That was another thing I wanted to speak about earlier, but we sort of glazed past it. We'll speak about it briefly here with the men's seedings. Because
he's not going to be a seed, is he?
No. We've got, but it's along those lines because we can see the seeds here. Alex Zverev is the number 1 seed because Sinner's not in. We got Alcaraz 2, Fritz 3, Ruud 4, Medvedev 5, Djokovic 6, Alex de Minaur is 7, Andrei Rublev 8. We got Paul 9, Tsitsipas 10, Draper 11, Rune 12, Shelton 13, Humbert 14, Dimitrov 15, and Musetti 16. So that's our top.
Felix is going to be below that then, right?
Yes, he's down
20.
there. 20.
What about keep going down? I just want to see 24. Mahatch. There we go. Thomas Mahatch.
Yep.
Sure.
So the one person I wanted to speak about, Berrettini sneaking in there as well at 29. Oh. Dangerous. Yeah. Is Alex de Minaur, because he's somebody I've bigged up quite a lot this year. I'm a big fan of his game. I know that you quite like the way he plays as well. He's tried to put on a bit of muscle. He's tried to be more powerful. But yet, in the last tournament, he sort of came a cropper to the same thing again. Came up against Marin Cilic, came up against somebody who's bigger, taller, more powerful, and then ends up losing the match based upon that, really. The physicality of a tennis match. And it actually made me a bit sad, to be honest. I thought, if he can get past Cilic here, and Cilic is playing well, I'll be very impressed by Alex de Minaur, but he lost again. And the questions are still there, unfortunately. I've put him high. I've put him top 5 for the year. But he needs to improve. And I don't want to keep saying it because I sound like I'm being harsh on Alex de Minaur, but it's because I think he actually can go that high. But he's just not physical enough on a tennis court to be able to beat those big guys.
He has improved, Ben. He has improved. I think in 2025, he's already a lot more physical. But still, when you're talking about the Sinners and the Alcarazes, they're just too much for him. And I fear that that's always going to be the case. My pick, is he going to be one of your sort of your pick to win?
No, I'm not. That's why he lost to Cilic.
You're not trying to make that case.
No, he lost to Cilic in Dubai. Okay. And that's what I'm trying to say is I'm disappointed.
So who's your pick to win based off just random? We don't know the draw. That's what I mean.
I mean, it's very... I mean, you'd have to favour Carlos Alcaraz.
Random, isn't it?
I mean, you'd have to favour Alcaraz. Even despite the service change, I don't think it really makes any odds. If it's slightly quicker, don't think it's going to matter to him.
I think Taylor Fritz is going to win this year.
It's possible.
He's going to love these US Open, Miami courts. It's going to just suit him. He's going to love it. Play in there in America. He likes Indian Wells. At this time of the year, I think he can be dangerous. His body's going to be not so damaged and fatigued from a long season. I think Taylor Fritz is going to be perfect, and I think he's going to be very dangerous this tournament in America.
Well, perfect. He may have to be to win this tournament because obviously Daniel Medvedev's made the final the last 2 years running, and that's been on a very, very slow court, according to him. Now it's sped up a bit. Surely he'll be a little bit closer to winning it this year if he manages to get to the final again.
But he's worse now.
Yeah, I would say he is worse now. That is the problem. I'd say Zverev, another player who you could think maybe he could do it, but he seems to be having an Australian Open hangover as well at the minute. I'm not
He's
sure.
number one seed as well. He's never winning when he's going to be that.
Do you think that Zverev has a problem? I saw Gil, he put out a tweet recently as well saying, what is it with Zverev, essentially? Is it the pressure of the fact every time number one is in sight, does he feel the pressure and he can't win matches then all of a sudden?
I confidently think that. I didn't see Gil say this at all, but I've been saying it for some time. I truly think it's all in the head, and it's the pressure of achieving world number one.
Crazy, isn't it? Like how that just plays on his mind.
And I think it's prevented him from winning slams too.
Yeah, I mean, undoubtedly, we've seen him so close to winning slams and unable to get it over the line. That's the
greatest player to never win a Grand Slam, Alex Zverev.
Quite possibly. Maybe Tsitsipas. No, I don't know. Just won his ATP 500. Can he do it? Jack Draper's somebody we're not even talking about right now.
I just did. I said he's going to win Wimbledon.
No, but I mean, we're not talking about him in this tournament. I mean, does he not have a chance here?
Bit too hot.
Maybe.
Needs some Kosovo in his system.
Oh. Does it? There's that extra recovery. We've got these are some of the other players. We've got Mpetshi Pericard for some big serving, Berrettini big serving, Sebastian Baez, he's in the final at the moment over in Santiago, I believe. How's he getting on? Oh, he's into a third set with Laszlo Djere. And Arango did lose in a double bagel, just to confirm that final.
I'm only joking, by the way, regarding Draper. I do think he's going to have a really good year. And I'd love to see, if he gets a nice draw, I'd like to see him really push hard. What I'm hoping for is he plays Djokovic early on, like round of 16, quarterfinal, something like that. I want to see a Draper-Djokovic match because I believe that's one of the players Djokovic is not going to want to play. I think Draper will beat this version of Djokovic, and that will give Draper so much confidence in his own game.
Sounds good to me. I don't want him to beat Djokovic, but I would love to see Draper just having a fantastic year. I want to see him up there challenging your Sinners and your Alcarazes. I don't want to see him just coming short against those players. One player that I always see in this top 30 seeds, and I'm always just thinking what's he even been up to? I didn't even realize he was playing well enough to stay. It's always Sebastian Korda. He's always there, but I never know what he's been up to. He hasn't really done anything this year. But the back end of last year, well, say mid last year, August, he was actually quite good, and that's probably he was living off those points still, I reckon. He won Washington, and then he got to, was it the semi-finals in Canada? Yeah, semi-finals against Popyrin. So, but since then, I think in Adelaide, in Australia, he got to it says he got to the final in Adelaide as well. So he actually has done something earlier this year. But
I remember that one, yeah.
I just haven't really been keeping much of an eye on Korda. You remember, was it last year or the year before when he played Djokovic in that epic final? I think that was it Brisbane or Adelaide? But it was he should have beaten Djokovic earlier on in the year. Seems to actually be okay in the start of the year, but he lost to Vukic at the Australian Open in 5. Now he's lost to Virtanen in Marseille. I don't really see him having a good Indian Wells, to be honest.
He's someone I can't even speak about so much on the podcast because there's bags of potential, but who knows? Who knows? He just has no consistency whatsoever. He doesn't have a clue, I feel, what's going to happen. Does he need to pack enough clothes for a week or just one pair of pants? I feel like every time he goes, he's not sure himself because he's so inconsistent.
That's what we like to hear. I mean, hopefully he's got more than one pair of pants with him.
Well, if he's only there for one evening, just first round out, all he needs is one pair of pants.
Yeah, Exactly. You're
And
definitely
for our
right.
American viewers, we mean briefs or underwear.
Yes, I mean
That's
the
what we call pants.
pants is trousers, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you go to America. But anyway, somebody who was having that same problem. Remember when they played their first Wimbledon, they didn't pack enough. What is it, tops or shorts or whatever it was, skirts. Was Emma Raducanu, and then she got through to that second week. She's going to be at Indian Wells. She's making her return after the Stalker. She was practicing with Tommy Haas, who's obviously the tournament director, I believe, in Indian Wells. And there you go. The draw is on Monday. It's her first tournament after
How
the
did she
Stalker.
get in? Was it a wild card?
Not sure. Tommy Haas just let her in, I think. But I've actually got some footage of her new security detail, apparently. There she is. She's arriving with them. This is just, people have just been taking it to the extreme on social media, just saying that apparently there is somebody who's part of the Secret Service, who's apparently ex-Secret Service, is going to be on the job at Indian Wells, making sure the security is at the top level. So that's good to hear anyway, but some people are just having a little bit of fun with it, saying there's going to be obviously an army or something that she comes in with here. I think is this South Park?
Let's see how she gets on. It's obviously been a tough few weeks for her. She's been mainstream news, not just sports news. We've seen it on a lot of our terrestrial news channels in the UK.
Yep.
So let's see how she deals with all the pressure and everything that's happening. She's not been playing very well, I don't think. She's been struggling, but getting through matches despite not playing so well, which shows that she is a top player and there's a real player there. But yeah, right now, I don't expect her to win anything. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there.
That's it. Maybe you can give us an explanation about your Brazilian top that you're wearing there. Would that be supporting anyone in particular?
Yes, this is for João Fonseca, one of my favourite players. And what about you? You're wearing a Pornhub top, is that right?
That's it. Yeah. Playground Circus. Close enough.
Sorry, I just saw the black and the orange. I wasn't sure.
Well, I wouldn't even know what those sites look like, so I don't know. Your knowledge is better than mine. Learn a TN all the way for me. I'll get myself an American flag and just be holding that up after the next one. They both have wild cards into the main draw of Indian Wells. Can't wait to watch that one. Make sure to join us for a draw reaction to that. That will be coming up probably tomorrow evening.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let us know if you enjoyed this episode and also what you want to see more from Game to Love. Maybe we'll bring back some lives. Maybe we'll bring back some Patreon-only content. What kind of thing do you want us to do? Let us know in the comment section. And thank you again for all of the support and for watching us. See you soon.